Hello everyone. Welcome back to FM Tuition Center with the world's best teacher, Hebebe. Call me Teacher Hebebe, and if you want to join us, you can call us on 0953 3312 and 04. We've got a branch in Chadiza, we've also got a branch in Choma, and we have a branch in Mbala. You are all welcome to join FM Tuition Center with the world's best teachers you would ever want to have tutor you. So in today's lesson, we are continuing with the two-column cash book. Two-column cash book. This is in business studies. So the two-column cash book and breaks. So we are looking at business studies. In the blue area there, I want us to look at the definition of a two-column cash book. 1. A two-column cash book is a cash book that has both the cash account and the bank account. So the two-column cash book, previously we looked at the one-column cash book. Can someone please tell us, remind us of what the one-column cash book consists of? Yes, John? Yes, correct. The one-column cash book is consisting of a cash account only. Now, we are now looking at the two-column cash book, which is going to consist of two accounts, which is the cash account and the bank account. Secondly, the cash account, something you should realize and take note of, is the cash account records details of receipts in cash and payments made in cash. So the cash account in the two-column cash book will only records details of receipts in cash and payments made in cash. Thirdly, the bank account contains details of money received and paid into the bank and payments made out by check. I hope we are getting the distinction here. The cash account records details of receipts in cash, while the bank account contains details of money received and paid into the bank and payments made out by check. Any transaction that involves check payment is recorded in the bank account column. What you need to distinguish is where to record it, either on the debit side and or credit side. But I want you to keep the bookkeeping rule. Can we all say it together? Debit there, receiver, and credit there, giver. Debit there, receiver, credit there, giver. So when you are receiving, debit. When you are giving out, credit. Okay. Now, that is the difference with the one-column cash book and the two-column cash book. Okay, we move to the next part. Now, I want us to look at what we have here. We have these key terms that we need to take note of, which is 1, drawings. What are these drawings? These drawings is not found in a park. It's not found at a show. These drawings is found in a business. Drawings is money taken out of the business for personal use. When you make a drawing, you pay yourself from future profits, which will reduce your capital. Are we together? When you get money from your business for personal use, we call that as drawings. Whenever you get for personal use, it is a drawing. There is another key term I want us to look at, which is a contra entry. Where does this animal come from? Which planet? A contra entry is a transaction that affects both the cash account and the bank account. Let's go through this again. What is this contra entry? We are talking of it as a transaction that will affect two accounts in the cash book, which is the two-column cash book. It will affect the cash account, and the bank account. The double entry system for a contra entry is completed with the cash book. What does this mean? It means that a contra entry is never posted to the ledger when it comes to ledger posting. A contra entry is never posted to the ledger when it comes to ledger posting. Contra items. What are these contra items? This is where a transaction's double entry is completed within the same book. Such a transaction is known as a contra item. Examples of these transactions in the cash book are when cash is paid into the bank from cash till. You get cash from your business and go and deposit into your bank account. That is a contra entry, meaning two accounts are being affected. The cash account is giving out money to the bank account, meaning in your book, in your cash book, you are going to credit your cash account and debit your bank account. Is that clear? Another example is cash withdrawn from the bank for business use. You go to the bank maybe because you want to increase on your capital or you want to get more money to buy goods. You go and withdraw from your bank account. So meaning your bank account is giving and your cash account is receiving. So your account that is receiving, you debit, which is the cash account. Your cash account is receiving money from the bank account, meaning the bank account is going to be credited, whereas the cash account is going to be debited because it is a contra entry. Contra entry, remember, affects both accounts. It never affects one account. Hope that is clear. Now, I want us to look at what we have put to be noted as in the circle. As the two accounts where double entry is completed are on the same page, we use the letter C in the folio column to denote that an item is a contra. How do you denote that this item is a contra in your cash book? With the letter C, with 3 commas with it. The letter C would denote that this transaction is a contra entry. Is that clear? Thank you. Now, I want us to look at a question that is going to assist us to go back and see how we are understanding what we have explained. Now, our question, the following information relates to Kangwa Cecilia, a sole trader from which you are required to prepare a 2-column cash book for the month of September 2009. Now, our transactions are on the blue side, which is the right. So, on the 1st of September, Kangwa started business with 6,000 cash and 10,000 bank. Is that okay? On the 3rd, paid for electricity by cash of how much? 500. On the 6th, Kangwa bought goods by check of how much? 300. On the 8th, Kangwa also sold goods by check to Mkandu K of how much? 1,800. On the 15th, Kangwa had cash sales of how much? 200. Take note of the transactions. On the 19th, Kangwa paid out wages worth 100 kwacha, which were paid by cash. On the 25th, bought equipment by check worth 4,000 kwacha. On the 30th, we are asked to balance off the cash book. Now, before you go to the cash book, I want you to look at your questions and identify your transactions. When this transaction is done, identify which account is being affected before you begin to answer. Identify which account is being affected before you get into answering. So now, when we look at the first one where we are told started business with 6,000 cash and 10,000 bank, which accounts are being affected? We have been told the cash account and the bank account. Correct, guys. That is very correct. So, the cash account is affected and the bank account. Now, what do we do with these amounts? Do we credit or debit the amounts in both accounts? Correct, guys. We are going to debit the accounts with the figures we have been given. So you debit the 6,000 in the cash account and credit the 10,000 in the bank account because the business is receiving. That is money for the business. That is how you identify them. You begin to write. You can write DR, CR. DR is for debit. CR is for credit. On the third, paid electricity by cash. Which account is being affected? Yes, John? Correct. The cash account is affected. But how is it being affected? Is it being affected on the debit side or credit side? Can someone tell us? Okay, correct. Yes. On the credit side. Why? Because the business is giving out. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. We are giving out 500. Correct. 6, we bought goods by check. Which account is affected? We said any transaction that involves a check belongs to which account? Correct, the bank account. The bank account is the one being affected. How? By debiting it or crediting it? We are crediting it. It is giving away. It is giving away. We are removing money from the bank to buy goods. Correct. On the 8th, we sold goods by check. Tunkandu K. Okay, which account is being affected again? Yes, Nkandu. Correct, the bank account. Why? Because we have sold goods and we've been given a check. Now, what happens to the bank account? Do we debit or credit the account? Correct, we are debiting the account because we are receiving money in the bank. That is very good. We move on to the transaction that was done on the 15th. Cash sales of how much? 200. So the cash account is being affected and we are going to do what? Are we going to debit the cash account or credit? Correct. We are debiting it with how much? 200 kwacha. 19th, we have wages of 100 kwacha were paid by cash. We have seen cash being mentioned, meaning the cash account is being affected. Now we only need to identify whether it's on the credit side or the debit side. So, because wages were paid, meaning we are giving out, so meaning we take it to the credit side. Remember the bookkeeping rule? Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Correct. On the 25th, bought equipment by check. Meaning the bank account is being affected here. The bank account is giving out money. Giving out money. Is that clear? Giving out. When you are giving out, what do you do? Correct, you credit. Then on the 30th, you are asked to balance off your cash book. Now, let us look at solution. This is our solution for Kangwa Cecilia. We've got the debt details. F stands for folio. We've got the cash account and the bank account. Now, the two accounts have got the debit side and credit side for each account. So we are seeing that on the 1st of September, we had capital of how much in the cash account? 6,000, which we credited which we've debited as earlier mentioned. Same as the bank account, we have debited the 10,000. Now, we come down to electricity, which was on the 3rd. Electricity was paid by check. meaning bank account was affected. If you go to the bank account, you are seeing that it was affected by how much? We gave out how much? 300. Purchases on the 6th, we bought purchases using what? The cash account. The cash account was affected by how much? 500, which was given out because it came from the cash account. Then we had sales made by check. We were given a check by a customer, meaning our bank account was affected by it receiving money from the customer through check, meaning we are going to debit the 1,800 which came from the customer into the bank. On the 15th, again, we had more sales which were now made by cash, meaning our cash account is being debited with a 200 kwacha. Then we paid out wages. Look at this. You paid out wages using what? Cash. Meaning your cash account is affected. Exactly what we are saying. No wonder if you want to answer this correctly, before you draw your cash book, identify where your account is being affected for each transaction. Wages, 1,000. Then equipment that was bought on the 25th was bought by check, meaning we lost out money. We removed money from the bank of how much? 4,000. Now, when we come to the 30th, where we are taught to balance off, as you can see, the colors are different. Blue, we have red and blue. So the ones in red are our totals. So when you add now your accounts, we start with the cash account on the debit side. When you add the debit side, it gives us a total of how much? 6,200. Now, when you add these figures on the credit side in the cash account, the 500 and the 100, they are not going to give us 6,200, but instead it will give us how much? 600 kwacha. 500 plus 100 will give us 600. But we need to make the cash book balance. How do we do it? So for it to be 6,200 on the credit side, we are going to get the difference here. We are going to do minus. The basic mathematics we are doing before of minus and the subtraction, addition. So because we've gotten 600 from the credit side, we are going to say 600 minus, we subtract 600 from 6,200 so that we get the difference that is remaining for us to make 6,200 on the credit side. So when we do our subtraction, we get to find that our difference is 5,600. 5,600. So when you get your 5,600, you call this as your balance carried down, which is in the folio column. Folio column. Balance carried down is how much? 5,600. So you only get the balance carried down when you get the difference from the debit side and the credit side. When you get that difference, if it's on your credit side, you are going to take it to your debit side now as your balance brought down from the previous month into the next trading month, which is on the 1st of February. The amount does not change. It comes down diagonal wise. If it is on the debit side, it will come down to the credit side. But now we are having the difference on the credit side, meaning it will come and conclude at the debit side. Same with the bank account. Look at your debit side, look at your credit side. Add your totals and get your balance at the end. So when we add 10,000 plus 1,800, we get 11,800 on the debit side. But when we add 300 plus 4,000, we are getting 4,300. But what we need to do is to balance the two accounts. All the sides must have an equal amount. Obviously, it will not reduce, no, but it has to increase. The one that has got a higher amount is the one that stands as the balancing figure. So now, because we have 4,300 on the credit side, it means we need to subtract 4,300 from 11,800. 800 to get our balance carried down for the bank account credit side, which brings us to 7,500. Your 7,500 is the balance carried down for the bank account for the month of September. But you take it down to the month of February, the next month where you begin to trade. With your next trading period, it could be you are on a break and you continue to trade in the next year in February. You get the balance carried down and bring it into the new trading period as your balance brought down, which is how much? 7,500. Now, class, this is very simple as long as you take note of the principles I am giving you. This is not mathematics. You get the basics of mathematics of addition, subtraction, and multiplication. But do not bring those concepts in accounts, in business studies, because here you are going to be working with principles. Because you lose the principle, you lose the whole format. And then when you are writing your cash book, always remember to write the owner of the business name and the type of cash book, if it is a 1-column cash book, if it's a 2-column cash book, or a 3-column cash book. That is a mark of its own. I guess this is very clear for all of us. We have understood. See you next time. The next time you're going to see me, we are going to be looking at the 3-column cash book. But before we get to the 3-column cash book, I'm going to be sending you an exercise that we need to do so that we can test what we have learned and see if we are understanding. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Study well and keep practicing, because the more you practice, the better you become. This requires more of your effort. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Remember, I am Teacher Hebebe, and I'm here to teach you business studies, principles of accounts, and many other commercial subjects that you need. We are slowly going there, and we'll soon start looking at past papers. Bye-bye. Shalom, shalom. God bless.